All right, there's a lot of talk right now about Auston Matthews' contract may be signed sometime this week. And the word has it that it won't be an 8-year contract, it'll be 5 or 6. Now, the reason I believe that it's not going to be an 8-year contract is because of the Tavares signing. So Kyle Dubas trying to keep everything all secure and safe and everybody on the team and just make sure he keeps everything together as he promised. He's going to have to lessen the contract lengths. But at the same time, I don't understand why players sign 8-year contracts. I don't. And let's take a look at why. On the left-hand side here, I've got the salary cap, where it was in 2005-2006, which was $39 million. That was after a year of complaining, we don't make any money, the players are robbing us blind. The owners went through this whole thing. We got a salary cap, and then here's what's happened. 39 to 44 to 50.3, 56.7, 56.8, 59.4, 64.3, a prorated $60 million during the lockout shortened season in 2012-2013 because we needed that. Back to 64.3, 69, 71.4, 73, 75. And this year the salary cap's at 79.5. Next year it's rumored to be 82, 83. So the cap keeps going up. Right now, the maximum that a player could get under the cap is $15.9 million because your maximum allowable is 20% of the cap on one player. So when we hear about guys being greedy that make $11 million a year, that's your max right there. Now, no player is taking it because they want to make sure they can ice a team. That's basically where it's at. But, you know, that's what they could technically make. Now, up here, upcoming RFAs with the Rage. So you have Braden Point, who's 22. Mikko Rantanen, 21. Mitch Marner, 21. Sebastian Aho, 20. Matthew Tkachuk, 20. Timo Meier, 21. Auston Matthews, 20. Kyle Connor, 21. Brock Besser, 21. Patrick Laine, 20. William Karlsson, 25. Kevin Labanc, 22. Kapanen is at 21. Travis Konechny, 21. Fiala's 21. Jacob Vrana's 22. Jacob Truba's 24. There's 2 Jacobs right in a row. Weird. Zach Werenski, 20. Frankie Vetrano, 24. Colin White, 21. Colin White of the Ottawa Senators. I'm really interested in this list for this reason. So, Matthews right here. Let's say he takes a 5-year contract. That's brilliant. And it's brilliant for a simple reason. 5 years from now, we have no idea what the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be and where they're going to be at. Are they still going to be contenders? Are they going to fall apart? You can't tell where a team's going to be in 5 years. Look at any team where they were 5 years ago. Odds are they're in a completely different place now. And this is why I don't understand players taking the 8-year contracts, and especially at these huge cap hits, meaning they can't get traded. Now, the nice thing for these players is they're coming out of their entry level. Most of these guys are coming out of their entry level. There are some, like Karlsson, Trouba comes to mind, guys who have been through this before. So this isn't their first contract. But for the most part, this is, you know, I'm coming out of my entry level. Let's see what we can get. Now, let's just take Matthews for instance. So he signs a 5-year deal for, say, $10 million per. And everybody's going to say, wow, Matthews took $10 million a year. He could have got 12 on the open market, or he could have got an offer sheet for $13 million. The problem is a $10 million plus offer sheet. It's roughly $10 million a year. That equals 4 first-round draft picks. Unless you can assure yourself that over the next 4 years, your team's going to be pretty darn good, that could be career suicide for a general manager. No matter which player you're looking at on here, I don't know that anybody's worth 4 first-round draft picks when you don't know where those picks are going to land you. The first year, if you're making this offer, you're likely a contender or at the very least a playoff team and pretty darn good team. But after that, all bets are off. And if he's making, say, $13 million a year, you may have a more difficult time icing a team. You may take yourself right up or beyond the cap and have to sell somebody else off. It really isn't that easy. But with what Matthews does, it's going to tell a lot of other players what to do. And this is where it gets interesting, too. You're an unrestricted free agent at 27 years of age or with 7 years of experience. Meaning that Auston Matthews signs a 5-year contract. Remember, he's in year 3. That means he'd be an unrestricted free agent at 25. Or at the very least, at age 24, going into that last season with Toronto, he has unrestricted free agency to say, yeah, at the age of 25, I could choose to play wherever I want. And at that stage, who knows if it'll be Toronto? Maybe it is. But then he gets his big 8-year contract that takes him to year 33 in his life. And that's the thing. If, let's say, Matthews signs an 8-year contract, he is buying himself out of unrestricted free agency for years. Probably going to take a lower cap hit than what he's going to take if he goes unrestricted at 25. Or at the very least, it's a lower cap hit than what the Leafs can offer him. Look what this cap's done in 5 years. It's gone from $64 to $79 million. Does anybody think it won't go to $100 million in the next 5 years? Exactly. So he can take a $10 million contract right now, $10 million a year, look brilliant, because then Mitch Marner has to sit down and go, well, I guess I'm worth 9 if Auston's worth 10. And then for $19 million, you got both of them signed for 5 years. Yes, in 5 years' time, Toronto could be panicking because Marner and Matthews could both potentially be looking at unrestricted free agency, and it could cost them a lot more later. But with the cap going up, they may very well be able to afford it. So this is why I've always thought the 8-year contract is ridiculous. I can understand it for a Connor McDavid, I can get it. For a couple of big, huge names, I can kind of get it. But when you have, like the Leafs do, a lot of good young players, why? So with Kasperi Kapanen, if you want to keep him, this is a way to do it. If the Leafs want to keep this whole band together for about 5 years, then sign them all to 5-year contracts. Well, Kasperi, I don't know that Kasperi could command a 5-year contract. Maybe. He's got the 15 goals, 30 points. I don't know that he's got enough right now in his resume that Kyle Dubas would sit down and go, yeah, we'll give you 5 years at 5 per. Or if it would be a 3-year show-me contract. I'm not sure. But what Matthews does is going to determine what happens with Marner. And it could very well determine for Vancouver. Jim Benning could sit down and go, hey, Brock, so here's the current market value. Here's where the contracts are at. We're going to offer you a 5-year contract. And Brock may go, okay, because at age 26, he can be a UFA. It's dangerous. There's a danger to this. But as a hockey fan, I'm kind of excited at the idea of an unrestricted free agent market dominated by guys in their mid-20s. That would be insane. And it shows how not only has the league skewed younger, but they're very successful younger players coming in, meaning they hit this 7 years of experience sooner and thus go UFA sooner. So every process gets progressively better for the younger player. I remember when it was a fight to get players the allowance to be unrestricted free agents before the age of 31. GMs, owners had the rights to players. They could only go restricted until age 31. Players had to fight tooth and nail to get that dropped from 31. And that was part of the trade-off to a salary cap was, okay, you guys want your cap? We want a lower UFA age. And they went, fine. And now we're starting to see how this works in an era where speed is the main issue. We no longer have these big hulking, bruising guys. So being a smaller player doesn't keep you out of the league. And this is something that greatly benefits this list of guys. Because they could make out like bandits. But it is a matter of figuring out, like for, say, Travis Konechny is a good example. Konechny, you look at his numbers right now and you go, So Konechny could say, you know what, I'll give you guys a shorter term deal because I think that 2 years down the road, I'm going to cost you guys a heck of a lot more. So Philly sits down and goes, we'll give you 5 years at this. Konechny could turn around and go, I want 2 years at this number. And it could be a very similar number with the idea that, hey, at the age 23, I can sign a 4-year contract and then I can go unrestricted. Or I could sign a 3-year contract and go unrestricted in my mid-20s. So with these 8-year contracts turning into 5, if Auston Matthews starts that, and if that's the road we're going to head down, we will see unrestricted free agency at a very early age. And when you look at some of these guys who are signed to these really long-term contracts, people point out, like, oh, Sid the Kid, you know, he's working for below market value because he signed a huge contract, a long-term contract, years ago. There's no way that if Sid had been an unrestricted free agent here, that he makes $8.7 million a year. No chance. And it's not that I don't agree that Sid gave them a hometown discount and wanted them to be able to put a team on the ice that could compete for a Stanley Cup, and it worked. But I can't see Sid watching these guys making 10, 11 million and going, well, I'll take 8. I can't. Because it's not just about greed, it's about, you know, more than that. At the time Sid signed that contract too, it wasn't the huge bargain that it is now. And don't think that that's lost upon agents and players, where they look at these guys on really huge 8, 12-year contracts and go, yeah, you know, he's been there a long time. And I'm not saying I don't want to be here a long time, but just think if instead of a 12-year contract, he'd signed a 6-year and another 6-year, how much more money would he have made? Because the cap goes up every year. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are we going to see Matthews get 5 and then Marner get 5? And does that then mean that a lot of guys on this board get 5 or less? Or are we just going to see other GMs say, that's fine for Toronto, we're going to try to give them all 8? Going to be an interesting summer. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.